Over the past 16 years as a freelancer, I've worked exclusively with small businesses, and the vast majority of them have been absolutely incredible. However, I've also run into a few absolute psychopaths who made it their mission in life to make everyone they come in contact with as miserable as humanly possible. Now, they usually manage to stay on the right side of the law, even if they're close enough to the line they could kiss it. But as far as moral character, you'd be better off working with a grizzly bear.
Probably a bear.
Oh, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but
Definitely a bear.
So in this video, I'm going to show you how to spot one of these walking nightmares and what you can do if you find yourself working for one. First, my name is Henry Bingaman. When I started out as a freelancer back in 2008, I was so clueless that I quickly went broke and ended up so deep in debt that I didn't think I'd ever get out. Then I learned the secrets and strategies that make high income freelancing possible, and I eventually grew my income to over $1 million in a year. Today, I make videos like this to help freelancers like you make more money and build more enjoyable businesses. So, nightmare clients. First of all, what makes a client a nightmare in the first place? Well, there are a few traits that seem to be common with all of them. First, they expect you to work like you're literally their slave. They think because they cut you a check at some point, they get to dictate every facet of your life. Now, I'm not saying that it's unfair for a client to expect you to work hard, to provide quality work, and to hit your deadlines. That's all perfectly reasonable. In fact, you should be doing all that. What I'm talking about are the clients who are shocked and offended if you don't instantly answer their texts or emails. It's literally impossible to get them to be happy with the quality of your work, and if you dare to go to bed at night while they're unhappy, you deserve to be thrown in prison in their opinion. The irony is, these are the same people who completely disrespect their own customers or clients. To them, a customer is just a personal ATM who they can treat like a stray dog. In other words, they're a jerk to you because they're a jerk to everyone. Sadly, I've met a few of these people who have multi-million-dollar businesses even. And now, they don't usually last, and I don't want to speculate on the state of their soul, but they are out there. In fact, I had one client, this was over a decade ago at this point. She was the CEO of a $10 million business, $20 million almost. And she had this best-selling book, and she was asked to speak at all the top industry conferences. The problem was she had almost nothing to do with the business's success. She had basically lucked her way into working with a really good copywriter who wrote a blockbuster promotion, and the copywriter himself created the product for the business to sell. In fact, she didn't even hire that copywriter, and she tried to kill his promo and product before it went out because she thought it was stupid in the first place. So she didn't have a company, she had one successful promo, but she bathed in that glory for about 5 years because she looked like a genius. The problem was she constantly threw other people under the bus for her own mistakes. So she eventually lost all of her talented people. Now, after her first business eventually collapsed because she didn't actually know what she was doing, she moved around for a little while, and then she ended up building a bigger reputation for ruining businesses than that one success. So she got ousted from the industry, but she was a nightmare for everybody that worked with her. Now, I haven't heard this person's name in any other way than, oh geez, do you remember XYZ? So the market does figure out psychopaths eventually and kicks them out, but they hurt a lot of people along the way, and that's the kind of nightmare client I'm talking about. And unfortunately, as freelancers, we're the first ones that get thrown under the bus by these types of people, and then they'll back that bus right up over our mangled bodies. So the question is, how do you spot these people so you can avoid getting in bed with them in the first place? And what do you do if you happen to find yourself entangled with someone like this? All right, I have 3 ways of spotting these types of people. And the only thing you have to do is ask a few questions when you're first negotiating a project or starting to figure out if you want to work with somebody. By asking these questions, you'll not only be able to spot those nightmares in the making, but you'll also be able to build your credibility with the type of clients you do want to work with. So question number 1, just ask them, can you tell me about your customers? What kind of wins have your products given them? I don't care if the client is selling a blender or a $100 million yacht. If they believe in their product, they're gonna have story after story of clients that are absolutely thrilled that they purchased it. They'll be able to tell you in detail about how it changed someone's life or provided some immense benefit. Because a good-hearted entrepreneur wants everyone to win. So they're desperate for these success stories from their customers because they want to make sure they're on the right track. They want to make sure their clients are happy and winning. A nightmare client, on the other hand, will immediately deflect to demographic info and lifetime value of their customers, or they'll actually even say something negative about their customers. Now, obviously, anyone trash talking their customers, that's an instant red flag. But if they just start talking in demographics or statistics, it's not an instant red flag. You do need that information as a freelancer eventually, but it's your job to dig deeper and get to the success stories because you need to figure out how they feel about their customers. If they love them and they want to serve them to the best of their ability, chances are they're going to treat you the same way because that's the way they view the world. If they don't like their customers, if they view them as suckers and rubes, chances are they're also thinking about you the same way. All right, number 2, ask them what they hated about working with freelancers in the past. So a nightmare client will instantly be able to bring up a list of things they've hated about people they've worked with. Now, sometimes these clients have worked with nightmare freelancers, so you'll need to have some discernment here. In fact, I know a bunch of freelancers who just disappeared on clients, or some really talented freelancers who just happen to be goofball airheads, but they're so talented, clients put up with their lack of communication and their lack of ability to hit deadlines. But if the client has an instant list of things they just hate about freelancers,
hate, double hate, loathe entirely,
It's another red flag. I actually had an initial call with a client on Monday, and I asked this question. His first reaction was, well, I don't know about hate. And then he told me a story of a freelancer who simply refused to make changes the client's legal department required. Now, I've successfully pushed back on legal departments many times, but at the end of the day, the legal department has the final say because it's their job to protect the client. So if you're literally refusing to make legally required changes, the client isn't the problem, you are. So in my book, the freelancer was in the wrong there. And because that's the only story the client had about quote unquote hating freelancers, and he even said he didn't hate them, I'm really not worried about this client being a nightmare. All right, third question. If you're still kind of on the fence, they gave you a midway answer between those last two questions, just ask them, so how good is your team? So if you want to make sure you're dealing with a client who will treat you right, the way they talk about their employees will tell you everything you need to know. Here's the thing. If any employer has anything less than enthusiastic praise to say about the people they employ, they're exposing themselves. After all, they hired these people and they're tasked with leading them. So if they say their team sucks, or, my team's okay, they drag their feet on some things, they have to work around certain people, what they're doing is talking about themselves. Anybody with good leadership qualities will recognize this, and you want your client to have some good leadership qualities. So the appropriate answer here is, oh, we have this incredible team, or maybe if the team's not perfect, they'll say something like, I am so proud of how hard they're working, or look, we have some big challenges ahead of us, but we're really building something incredible together. These people are awesome. You're going to learn a lot by the tone of their voice when they're talking about their team. If they have a great tone, it means they love their people, which means they're going to be a decent client to work with. All right, now let's say somehow you find yourself actually working with a nightmare client. What are you supposed to do then? Well, the first question is, do you need to keep working with them? I had a situation once many years ago where I got just a terrible vibe from our project kickoff call. But this was when I really needed the money. And I didn't quite have the balls to quit the project right away on that call. But the next day, I wrote them an email saying something like, after getting a full view on the project yesterday and reflecting on it overnight, I don't think I can be successful in this project. So I'm returning your deposit and I apologize for the inconvenience. Now, this client cashed the check, but they didn't even reply to the email. And this was over a decade ago, and that client is not in business anymore. So I was correct in turning that down. Of course, it's not always easy to do that. Sometimes the client doesn't show their nightmare face until months into the project when it's too late to quit, basically. In that case, your best bet is to live up to the exact terms of your agreement and absolutely nothing more. Look, I'm generally pretty flexible with my clients. I don't care if a call runs over the schedule or if I end up doing a little bit of extra work here and there for them. I really just want to serve the client and make them happy. But with nightmare clients, you need to put up hard boundaries and enforce them absolutely to the letter. You don't want to give them any excuse to not pay you. And obviously, you're still obligated to do your work that you signed up for in the agreement, but you owe them absolutely nothing extra. Every email gets replied to exactly 1 business day later. You do not answer the phone when they call you out of the blue. You do not do 1 iota of work more than your agreement outlines. Look, they're gonna throw you under the bus anyway. They've made it clear that they're not going to be happy no matter what. So don't let them into your life any more than you absolutely must. And this is not passive-aggressive behavior. This is you protecting yourself, protecting your time, protecting your mental energy. Now, I've generally been able to avoid nightmare clients for over a decade. And that's because once you level up, when you start looking like a pro, you automatically repel these psychopaths. So if you want to look like a pro, I put together the 5 free tools that make even brand new freelancers look like seasoned pros. You can grab that at henrybing.co/free tools. Of course, the link will be in the description. And look, I know I'm not alone here. If you've dealt with crazy clients in the past, dealt with these nightmares, I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. All right, catch you in the next one.